Hello. Black and white. Our entire color prejudice ranges between the colors of black and white, and if we have each studied in school that when you pass white light through prism, you get the entire rainbow there. Yeah. So between black and white are, on either ends, there are shades of gray, and between the shades of gray, there is the entire rainbow. Yeah, when passed through prism, but then there are even on a color palette. Yeah, when all of the colors are white is all of the colors visible, and black is all of the colors invisible. Now, why am I saying this? There are some references in some old texts, yeah, that says that there were basically two mothers, one black and one white, and from whom all of the different races on the planet have come to be. And all the different color variations we see are from combinations between these two. Now, when we look at this, that's one part about the color differentiation and the ratio system. Between day and night, the difference largely is between visible light and invisible light. Yeah, during daytime we have, it's all light. I mean, you have the sunlight, we call it white light, and in the dark and at night, it's pretty much dark because it is dark light. Now, our color, our racial systems and color-based discrimination is pretty ridiculous in light of this fact. And now there's another reference why I'm speaking about this today. Now, this may seem from some of the esoteric ways of thinking, but then in animalistic traditions, yeah, where like say Shinto or several other philosophies of thinking that considers that everything that exists has is an animated form. It is not an object, but is in different forms of animation. A rock is also a state of animation, but it's in a form that we are not able to see. But there are atoms and molecules in them moving. Yeah. Now, according to them, there is the tradition of the sun and the tradition of the moon. The tradition of the sun is all that you can see, the visible, what is visible, and what we call as, in some way, we can call it as matter, and what is seen in the presence of the sunlight. Yeah, and the tradition of the moon is more the invisible and is based on time, across time. When we refer to history, without reference to something that we can see or fact-based, but more in terms of a concept, then we are talking more in terms of that which is not localized in time, but is present as something that has been through time. Yeah. Now, these are again two ways by which people inquire into what there is to be inquired. Now, science-based is more, well, you can call it as more the tradition of the sun, where you're looking through facts, and one needs to relate with the other and cause and effect. And you can call the spiritual group, so to speak, who are inquiring into not so fact-based, but yet there's a certain system of logic in it. You can call them as more operating from the tradition of the moon. Yeah, where there may be, it's not localized in time, but are present in different spheres, realms of thinking, um, but if you're going to look at under a microscope, you may not find it. But and there are these two ways by which you inquire into what there is to inquire. Now, depending on what your inclination is, what a person's inclination is, they begin to inquire depending according to those traditions, either the tradition of the sun or the tradition of the moon. Yeah, so we have different kinds of people. We call them as logical and intuitive. Well, logical may be more the tradition of the sun, you could say, but maybe intuitive is more the tradition of the moon. But then the demarcation is not so very distinct and fine. Now, what does this make available is that I'm presenting both here. And the idea here I'm trying to arrive at and encourage is to see that there are two sides to any coin. There are two sides to a day. You don't call a day without there being a time for the sun and there being time for the moon. Yeah? Now, some days may be longer, some nights may be shorter, and vice versa. But a day includes sun time and the moon time. Similarly, in our ways of thinking, maybe being more prejudiced to one versus the other, and who are more, say, tradition of the sun based, maybe calling off those who are from the tradition of the moon, and those who are from the tradition of the moon may be calling off the ones from the tradition of the sun. And my invitation here, now what I'm saying can be checked on the net. There are many resources by which you can check it. They may be called by different names. But my idea in presenting this is to invite a more mindful, considerate inquiry into what you are inquiring into itself. We see a rock, we see a stone, we see physical objects, that maybe there is another side to it. Yeah, we call things as God. We call them as angels and demons and spirits and animalistic many things. Yeah, even we are animalistic. We are animated beings. You can see us. Yeah, you can touch. We can see us, and yet we are animated. The rock is not seen to be animated, but there is atoms and molecules in them. Yeah, and there are electrons in different states of movement. So there are the visible and the invisible parts to anything, and the different fields of study may be oriented to one versus the other, either the visible part or the invisible part. Through this video, I'm inviting a consideration that what you're observing, no matter what your field of study is, that there may be another side to it. I'm coming from the adage that every coin has two sides. Yeah? Do not stick with just this is the only thing there is. Though it may seem that this gives proof, you will come to a point where all the facts are there, but it's not being consistent with the answers that is available. And that may be the point where you may need to see what may be the other side of it. You're seeing this, but what may be not being seen? And maybe what is not being seen may give rise to the answers, may give rise to the solution to the phenomenon that you may be watching outside. Yeah? So, and we can be very right about what we see, because yes, it gives perfect answers, but you're very likely, because every coin has two sides to it, if you're only watching only one side, you're likely to come to a point where they stop giving answers, and there may be inconsistencies, and then they may seem, this is odd, this cannot happen here, and then comes confusion. Now where does this answer come from? Yeah? And to approach your fields of study like you are putting a puzzle together, a jigsaw puzzle maybe. Yeah, you're putting the pieces together, and as you're moving through studying your different your different fields of study, to think that, okay, I have these evidences, and there are these other evidences also, and there may be points that may not be immediately available. Yeah, these are like the fill in the blanks pieces. You don't know what these pieces are, and you may need to be more patient before these pieces come into place, before your understanding about the how and the what begins to make sense. So no matter which field of study you are in, I invite a putting a jigsaw puzzle approach to your study. Yeah, and see what that makes possible, what makes available to your own, to your life, to your field of study. You're likely to be more truth oriented, to find, rather than just fact based, to know the truth of the matter, and that gives you very profound insights and maybe answers that may otherwise never be possible to be found. Yeah, happy inquiries, happy learnings, and may the awe of what there is to discover in this wonderful place that we come to inhabit. Lot of mysteries, lot of unknown things, and we are on an inquiry to find out more about it, to make sense of it, to approach from that we don't know everything. Yeah, there may be things that others say has all been found, but we still have many kinds of diseases. We have all kinds of different kinds of imbalances. When everybody knows so well, why would these problems still be? There must be something unknown. So I invite anybody who's watching this video to look at your own field of study, what you've already studied and all established, to look at that what you already know is a few of the puzzle pieces. What you already have maybe gotten a PhD with is a few of the known puzzle pieces, and that there could be others too. That way, you continue on your field of interest, but with a different kind of a zeal and energy, because now it becomes a search for truth, to find out what things really are, rather than presuming that, okay, now I've done it all, now what's the next study? You might miss something, you might miss a vital point which may make the most sense, not only to you but to several other fields of study. Yeah? Because all the different fields of study may be like different threads in a very vast embroidery. All are different physics and chemistry, and we have music and dance, and maybe all of these different threads of study, schools of studies, are like different threads in a very vast embroidery. And to consider that what is not visible through your own field of study may find answer in some other field of study. Yeah. So happy inquiries, and thank you for listening.